The city of Las Vegas held an informational session today on sidewalk vending within the city. Officials discussed a Senate bill signed into law this year that sets up potentially regulatory framework around those vendors. Business owners and residents who attended the meeting had a chance to voice concerns and ask questions. Under the proposed rule changes, in order to receive a business license, street vendors in the city of Las Vegas would need a valid health permit, a valid state business license, and sales tax permit. They need to pay a $50 processing fee and a $150 annual business license fee. And once they get their license, there are other guidelines they'll need to follow. The timeline for adoption of this ordinance continues with the introduction of the bill at a city council meeting expected to happen this month, another one in December, and possible adoption around Christmas time.